koma ti bu bu kara he o ba chi chi da ya hi moi te bu bu yoi ma ta na ha ha mo ba mo.
Why I have begun doing all the craft work that I do started when I was 12. We had an old bow from 1926. It was my dad's bow, and we were allowed to play with it, but we had to make our own arrows. So basically, when I started doing different craft work, I started with the arrows. So my handiwork, as far as continuing on this and following my different crafts that I have done, with talking to my grandmother and my grandfather, that they told me about all these different things the man would do, which making a bow and arrow, making the burden basket, helping out with this and that, being able to gather food and do what I can to survive here. So as we had a lot of different discussions, I decided to go ahead and do as much as I could and to teach myself, because there wasn't a lot of people out there teaching native craft work, especially from this tribe, from the Akmardatan. So I did what I could to find out all the information that I can, and so that's my kind of humble beginnings. What you're trying to do and what you're doing is loosening up the pulp that surrounds the plant. So take it apart, and then you can pull the pulp off of it. I'm using the back of my nail. You can use some kind of scraper. A shell will work really well. And you're trying to take the pulp off. So once the pulp is off, then I'm going to show you how to start the cord that you're going to be making. What I'm going to do is twist it away from me till it starts binding on itself. Once it starts to bind on itself like that, and then I'm going to separate them, twist the one on top, bring it over, twist the one on top and bring it over. This is your bowstring. This is the kind of string that can be used for everything. Remember, way back when, we didn't have any nails, so we binded everything together in cordage. And this right here is yucca cordage. You can be let, when you take it into fiber, you can let it set out in may sun bleach. It may be white, or it could be that yellow green. And that's what you're looking at. We're here because we want to use this as an arrow shaft. And you see how straight it is? A little bit of crookedness, but all you have to do is put some heat on it, and you can actually maneuver it so it's straightened out. That's why I don't really mind if it's a little bit crooked, because we're just putting a flame to it. We can actually maneuver and straighten it all out. And this is about the thickness of the arrow. Sometimes a little bit larger, especially about that thickness right here. And then we could put the mesquite tips on them and to make them into arrows. But Matthew's is learning how to make arrowheads and actually how to create a good platform for his using the deer antler to shape the arrowhead. Sometimes it is a little precarious when you work with because all the different shards that come off of it can cut you. You come over here and take a look at it closer. And what I'm doing is using the antler. And what we're trying to do is get a good grip on it. And we use the stone here to take off the edge so so I can have a small platform. You see this little ridge, and what I'm trying to do is push it down, and but you can hear the sound of it. It's called pressure flicking. What you're going to do is now with that edge,
That's what's rated?
yeah, and that's what does that. So it is a really sharp tool at this point. This one right here, according to Freddie Johnson, if you don't put any notches on here, this is a female arrowhead. And if you do have the one that have notches, then it's considered a male. So that's what you're looking at. With me working with Matthew, it really kind of opens his eyes to a lot of different possibilities. The working with his hands, the concepts that we have through my tribe relates to his tribe as well. And so he is really taking it upon himself to learn as much as he can. And this year project that we're working on really has opened up his eyes to a lot of different possibilities for him to continue to teach. He is a very bright young man that he was able to absorb and also to acknowledge and to personalize a lot of the craft work that he does have. It's really important that this continues.
Starting this grant at the beginning of essentially almost a year ago, it was interesting because thinking about it, my knowledge base has grown so much over the past year. You know, when we first started was when we really kind of dwelled into it. You know, I've been working with Royce for years. You know, learning just the simple agave, how to process it, how to clean it, and then how to spin it into cordage. You know, some of the simple, like the bag designs, how to make those. You know, that I've been kind of practicing it with different things because I didn't have access to agave living in New Mexico. So then getting this opportunity to kind of learn how to refine more of it, work more into it, and learn a lot of the history about it, you know, it would sound like an amazing opportunity. So the first time we went out, you know, just getting the agave, you know, collecting it, processing it, and cleaning it all day, you know, then starting to make items, you know, learning the first thing, learning how to make the hairbrush, learning the history behind that. But not only just working on just one road item there, but along this way I was able to learn a lot more about culture and the history, you know, the use of different plants. Along the way we'd find different plants, you know, we'd stop by and he'd say, you know, try this, you know, he'd name the plant and talk about different areas along the way as well, the cultural significance, even down to like the traditional stories, you know, of different land formations, you know, the stories behind that, the significances of different places, learning the traditional names of certain places that we're going to or that we're passing by. And it's just learning so much about essentially this culture. You know, it broadened my perspective on the history of this area, and also just kind of helped jumpstart a lot more into working with Mayan, because not only working with the agave and the fiber arts, I was able to kind of refine this art that I know, but also we learned different arts as well, from making arrowheads, bows, arrows, and with that too, it was also almost a new venture that I've always wanted to learn, you know, just being able to get this knowledge right there. And then with that, I was able to kind of start making my own things. And I actually I've always wanted an interest to kind of study back home too, essentially the daily life of that. And with this knowledge as well, through learning this all this year here, I'm actually even able to tie into some parts with what we're learning here. And also I do want to continue this as well, just with teaching people as well, just like the simple art of how to do this. Because one thing we learned even when going to like various museum archives, you know, a lot of the bows we found, they were all basically shaped a similar way. It's just different wood, you know. So it's knowing the style, how it was done, to be able to teach different people along the way, you know, to essentially bring back this what we now call an art, but was an everyday lifestyle for people. You know, to be able to have this knowledge to teach people as well, but also to look more into refining my knowledge of the history as well, you know, looking into it to kind of do more studies on that as well. So that's really what I got out of this year, is just this new knowledge to be able to share, and that I have this excitement to share it also. So I'm very thankful that I was able to work with Royce and learn so much wisdom and knowledge and skills from him over this past year.
Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Gama kuya ai go him. Cứ quất ta nhớ y vơm. Gama kuya ai go him. Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Hey, I'm a nhớ tổ kim. Agama kuya ai go him. Cứ quất ta nhớ y vơm. Agama kuya ai go him.